Oh, there we are. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the session where we are going to talk about how to stay true to you. So, I'm really excited about today for a couple of reasons. Because I think that when people think about staying true to themselves, they think automatically about alignment. So, do you relate to that? I'm going to actually wait just a moment for the chat to open up. Welcome. If you are jumping in through Zoom, let me know. If you are jumping in through YouTube, let me know. Universal Love Academy is actually a place where you can go and learn about your human design and gene keys. And I share that because I have a lot of students who, if they are in that program, actually get access to multiple live streams, similar to how we are on YouTube right now. So if you have not met me yet, my name is Brianna Anderson, and I have a deep love for helping people know who they actually are and really help them understand what unique gifts and talents they came with so that they can find more joy and more fulfillment. And my process through that path has been one of true authenticity, one of untangling lies. And through the midst of all of that, there is a sort of love that you will find for yourself that no one can actually hand you until you decide that you are going to be the one that makes the dream come true, right? So today I really wanted to talk about like how to stay true to yourself and what that even means, especially in a time of transition and change and massive upgrades. I think a lot of times we forget that as we're going through life, as we're going through our process, I think sometimes we have to pause and go, wait a minute, I set this into momentum or into like fruition a long time ago. So I'm currently going through this right now. I've noticed every time that I tend to take a leap, it seems like there has been a sensation in the past of perhaps loss. And I just want to remind you that if you're feeling a lot of loss or if you're feeling a lot of like grief, that's actually a sign, in my observation, that is a sign that the old reality is leaving, but it never leaves without your desire for more first. So here's the paradox. As you're asking for more, as you're creating more joy, more passion, more yes to everything in your world, with the yes, with the more, we tend to, if we're not careful, look at all of the things that we've lost. And then it keeps us in a trap where we feel like, wait a minute, I started this journey because I wanted more abundance, more love, more fulfillment. And then looking back in hindsight, 2020, it can sometimes feel like, if we're not watching our brains, it can sometimes feel like there's been a lot of loss. Like, can any one of you relate to that? Will you put in the chat if you can relate to feeling like there is grief or feeling like there is loss, when in actuality, all that you have desired, prayed for, hoped for was actually a call for more. It was a call for more abundance, more love, more joy. So I have noticed that a lot of my clients, a lot of people, they tend to feel, especially in the Western world, for whatever reason, could be expectations, I presume. But there's a lot of feelings that surface around the holidays. And here's what's beautiful about that. As I was tuning in and asking God, like asking my source, like, what does the collective need from me this month? What is the message? And the message was how to stay true to yourself. But when we really look at why that is the conversation, it's not because we don't know. It's just sometimes we need a reminder that when we choose us, we're not waiting to be chosen. And then we're not stuck in a disempowered place where we feel unlovable, unworthy, and all of the things. So we're going to just dive in and go deep and talk about really how to honor what that looks like. And I am so passionate about the actual how. Like, I don't want to show up and talk at you. I want you to walk away with at least 3 things that you're going to do that's going to perpetuate you to move forward in the desired state instead of constantly looking at what is wrong. Now, the reason I bring up human design and gene keys is because based on your profile, based on your numbers, there is going to be a way that we have got to look at your character, so to speak, or your personality, pick your word, but we've got to look at your profile and analyze why the character feels like there is a problem, what the character might feel. So, for example, I am a 4/6, and so sometimes I have to keep my character in check with the embodiment of acceptance and not the fear of rejection. And so, when you look at your profile, there is a pattern, without knowing it perhaps, that you get to, I'm going to move my microphone, that you get to overcome. And if you have no idea what the heck that number is, don't worry, you're still going to get a lot out of this session. Okay. So, number one, I want you guys to know and write down your truth is not up for discussion. Write this down. Truth, my truth is not up for discussion. I'll just drop it in the chat for you. My truth, it's not even the truth. My truth is not up for discussion. Why would I bring this up? Because if we're going to stay literally loyal to our hearts, we have got to understand that our truth is not up for discussion. So, when you have a truth arise, the first thing you want to do usually is call a friend and be like, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm doing. And there has been awarenesses, right, where a friend will either shut down the idea or feed the idea. And if you're lucky, you have amazing friends and they feed the idea. But a lot of times, unfortunately, there are those who don't see your vision. So when you share your vision, all of a sudden it like lost all of its strength and its belief because they didn't believe in it at the level or layer that you did. So the way to stay true to yourself, no matter what, is first understanding my truth is not up for discussion. My truth is not, I love to embody it. So can we just like take this into the body, tap your collarbones, wiggle your hands out. Like literally, if the body can feel the truth, the subconscious will access the awareness. So we don't just want to think it with our conscious mind. We want to imprint it into our body because our body without thought is always feeling. It's picking up sensation, vibration, energy. It's constantly interacting with this thing that we call earth, this thing that we call the world. Okay. So when you understand that your truth is not up for discussion, what the F does that mean? It literally means that you ought to know what your truth is, which is actually step number 2. The reason I put it as a second step and not the first step, well, let me write it down for you. What the second step then is to discover what my truth is. Because I've noticed that a lot of times in my coaching discussions that we cannot actually get to what our truth is until we have permission. And a lot of people are not thinking, oh, I need permission today. They're not usually having those thoughts. But if you were raised from 0 to 7, constantly needing permission, like every human was, right? Can I have a cookie before bed? No. Can I do this? No. Can I do this? Yes. Can I do that? No. Can I do this? Yes. Can I do that? No. So we're not actually aware all of the time that we're looking for permission if we haven't actually given ourselves the ability to detach from mom and dad in a healthy way. And so the simplest way to do that is to go with step 1, which is my truth is not up for discussion. What that does is it frees you from needing to explain. It frees you from needing to ask permission. And it frees you from the judgment, opinions, consequences, etc., from others, from those around us. So the reason I put that first is because when you decide my truth is not up for discussion, what that does automatically is it puts the responsibility or the agency back in your hand. So then the second thing then would have to be, okay, then what is my truth? Now that I don't need permission, and now that I'm not asking or feeling like I have to justify. See, step number 1, without you actually maybe noticing, step number 1 is the ability to know that if I'm going to stay true to myself no matter what, when I decide my truth is not up for discussion, what I'm actually deciding, and notice I'm using the word deciding, what I'm actually deciding then in that moment is that I am worthy because my truth has already been a made decision. And that made decision came from myself. And because it came from myself and it's not up for discussion, that must mean that I'm giving myself the very thing I think I need to earn. I'm actually writing another book. I got a download. I've already published a book, but the next book I am going to read or write, I should say. It just dropped in. I'm going to write a book and it's going to be literally how to become the source or become the source of the things that you thought you had to earn. That's literally the whole premise of what this is. My truth is not up for discussion is the premise that I no longer need to earn this thing. I decide that I'm just going to source this thing. So that's a really big awareness, because then it's going to help segue for you to answer the next question, which is, what is my truth? So let's actually go into that. And I'm trying to give you words that will help you discover, holy shit, this is actually the void. And I didn't know that this was a void. And so then I go out into the world and I'm like, give me this thing. And then we're not staying true to ourselves necessarily because we think someone else has the thing available for us, instead of realizing that staying true to ourselves is less about a look and like what that looks like. And it's more about deciding a decision and a choice. And if you haven't decided to bet on you, if you don't have the decision made that you're worth it, and if you don't have the belief that you are the source of your joy, the source of your prosperity, then you're constantly outsourcing your value, or you're outsourcing you to get to X. So it's almost like there's an imaginary carrot. And I know that if you're in corporate or working in a job you dislike, you'll really resonate to this, because when I was operating from this mindset, I know that I experienced it, especially in corporate, where there was a carrot. And it was like, okay, if you do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to give you blank. And so I'm like, yeah, like I want the carrot. Like I'm here for it, dude. Like, yes, throw me in. But then I would hit the milestone, and then there was like another carrot. And this time it was dangled out farther. And the first time I ate the carrot, it was like breadcrumbs. So I guess what I'm trying to help you understand is that fulfillment is an inside job. And so when I ask you to do step number 2, what is my truth? Or knowing what my truth is, you can actually get there really damn quickly off of a decision. So I'm going to help guide you there. Is that cool? Put in the chat, if you will, put in the chat what you currently think is outside of you. What is outside of you? So a lot of us will sometimes, money is a big one. Let's not pretend it's not. Sometimes we say, oh, I want the money. I want the money. Cool. You want the money. The money is a representation of value. It is a system in which value circulates. It's actually a circulatory system. So for those looking for love, that might be, I want the perfect partner. Well, the perfect partner is a symbol or a representation of a mirror reflecting to you maybe your wholeness. You want to feel that sense of wholeness within you. Maybe you're looking for or calling in some manifestation that feels bigger than you, right? Maybe you're looking for a job that brings you joy. So that job or that career is actually a representation or a symbolism of impact, of influence, of service, to not just serve from an empty vessel, but to have something come back in return in which you feel like you are on purpose. So there's a lot of different words that our psyche will use in order to maintain a state. And that state is going to create a sort of slate. So I wrote in my book, the Book of Epiphanies. If you haven't ordered it, by the way, go get it. It'll be in the comments below. But our state creates our slate. And the slate is sort of like a canvas. So if I handed you a canvas or a white paper and I said, dude, do whatever the hell you want to on this paper, it's yours, free game, put all the colors on there. You'd be like, this is so exciting. Yeah, life is so freaking exciting, but we don't feel like that when we don't feel like we have the necessary art or the things that we want on that canvas. Because some of y'all are going to want some glitter. Some of you guys are going to want some paint, right? And some of you are like, nah, like I don't even like to get into any sort of crafts or artistry. My point is, when you can really connect down to the word that is helping you create the state, you will be able to source your truth. What I mean by that is when I decide that I am manifesting the next level of abundance and freedom, I now know that freedom is a state. It's a state of being. So my truth then is I am absolutely free in this moment. That is my truth. But my external world is reflecting this thing, and it doesn't actually feel like freedom. So a lot of times when people are not staying true to themselves, it's because They want to match the outside world instead of look at their inside world and keep loyalty there. So the next thing I want to talk about then is loyalty. And the reason I want to talk about loyalty as step 3 is because a lot of times, unless you've been taught this, it's not wrong. You're not wrong by mistake at all. It just is. When you're more loyal to the outside world than you are to your inner world, then you are going to constantly feel as though you're not playing the game of life correctly. Because if you have to abandon yourself in order to have that $1 million, or if you have to do something that doesn't feel good in order to maintain the relationship, or if you have to sacrifice all of your passions in order to maintain the career, then there is going to be this gap inside of your mind. It's going to feel like a gap, or it's going to feel like a choosing. It's going to feel like oscillation. So if you don't know what oscillation is, it's when you take one step forward and then you take 3 steps back, and then you take 1 step forward, maybe even 2 steps forward, and then 1 step back. So oscillation is when it's like, okay, you teeter-totter and you can never actually get off the teeter-totter bench because you're like, 1 minute I'm this, the next I'm this. And a lot of people think that's their thoughts. I'm here to tell you, you will no longer teeter-totter when you are more loyal to your decision and your internal reality more than your actual visual eyes will show you. So this is really deep, but I will only teach deep. That's who I am. So here's me staying true to myself. I trust that the right souls that need to watch this will, the ones that are like, I could care less to manifest my best life, that's okay too. My point in this is that step 3, when you have a loyalty to the things that have already been decided, then no matter what shows up in your external world, it's a sort of confidence. There's a lot of words people are going to use. I'm going to use words that you've heard so much, but I want to give you a different connection in your neural pathways to help you see the words differently. So I'm curious if any of you on this call or this live have connected the dots of loyalty and associating loyalty with the reality of faith or confidence or creation. The reason I want you to pair those words together is because when you are loyal to faith, what that really means is that you are loyal to the things that you cannot see that you've already decided in your heart and mind. So in your heart, if you've already decided you're going to manifest more money, more love, a better career, whatever the case is, then the loyalty to that decision needs to triumph whatever is showing up in your external world, because that external world is all just a distraction. And it's trying to distract you from a decision that you already made. And so then you're like, you're right, I must be the broken one because it hasn't happened yet. So then we place our loyalty outside of us and we're like, F it. I don't have trust within myself or my creator. And I don't have the loyalty to faith because I don't see it and I haven't built the muscle. Quite literally, it's a muscle. And if you don't have the muscle of having a loyalty to the unseen, and the world has taught you that the unseen is ridiculous or not real or irrelevant, then you are going to constantly deny what your inner world knows to be true. So you're not crazy. You are not stupid. You are not dumb. You are not in psychosis. You are not incapable. You are actually playing a game that most people haven't figured out how to play yet. So when you are in your loyalty to your inner world, then you understand and you can reverse engineer this formula. When I am loyal to what it is I desire, desires are also an unseen force. Can you actually see your desires? Not really. I mean, if we're talking about imagination, absolutely. But where does that sight come from? That is an internal sight. That is not an external sight, right? I'll give you a perfect example of this. So I have a poster back here and it says public speaker. And I ordered that poster way before I actually got into the event of publishing my books, becoming a published author and a public speaker. That had shown up before I had stepped into the actuality of it. But why would I do that? Because in my mind and my heart, it was done. So I wasn't waiting for the external world to validate what my truth already was. And so then if we look at the formula, I had made a decision to tie my loyalty to the unseen, which was my faith, whatever it was my heart desired, whatever it is I could imagine up, whatever I could conjure up, whatever creation I was calling forward next. My loyalty to that creation was decided with or without the evidence of the external world proving it first. So then I could go backwards or up to step 2 and discover, okay, now that I am loyal to what I desire, and I'm not playing a game based on somebody else's script, somebody else's formula, now I can decide what my truth is. And truth doesn't always match what the external world wants you to believe. So I'll give you an example following this poster. When I started my business, I quit my job in 2020, I think, maybe 2021. I don't know. It's okay. So I quit my 10-year career and went into entrepreneurship. My truth was at the time, my truth is I crave a world where I am in control of my schedule. So that was my truth at the time. Like, I am so sick and tired of someone telling me when to sit, when to talk, when to pee, when to brush my teeth, all the things. Like, I felt like I was a puppet just playing the game. And then I was playing the game also that I could have some external, I don't know what. So when I chose my truth, my truth didn't match what I had been raised to believe. So I was raised to believe that the safety route was to work in corporate, climb the ladder as fast as you can, stay there, and then be really grateful that you have what you have because you should just be grateful, right? And that was killing my soul. That wasn't my truth. And I didn't have anyone outside of me to model what I wanted. And so sometimes this feels scary. We don't always abandon ourselves on purpose. Sometimes we abandon ourselves because our very basic needs aren't going to be met. Like back then, it was like, no, I really do need to pay my bills. I really do desire to like have sustainability under me. But had I denied my truth, I would have stayed at that job. I would have never I would have never birthed my book. I would have never chose my creations. I would have never gone to Bali. I would have never traveled the world, all these things. And then if we reverse engineer this script even more, then we get to step 1, which is my truth is not up for discussion. So when I was oscillating, I was doing that, well, maybe, and then back and forth, back and forth. I was like, okay, so if my truth is not up for discussion, what does that actually mean? It means I need to have my back more than any other person does. And if I can do that, I know, like I freaking know the sky is blue, that I will have everything that I've ever desired. How and why do I know that? Because if my internal reality is the unseen and my loyalty is placed in my own personal desires, my own personal world, my own personal consciousness, then I know that my consciousness will show me what it is I desire next. And if I'm loyal to what I see, sense, or feel, that is going to bring me more joy. And I can honor that truth and it's not up for discussion. Really, what we're discussing today is the path of we can call it empowerment. We can call it manifestation. There's so many ways that people try to articulate things, but I want to get to the core essence because if I can help you touch the essence of the thing, then you will never be confused or in complexity of the thing. So back to basics. If we are not staying true to ourselves right here, right now, it is usually, in my observation, because there is a self-doubt pattern. So I'm going to put in the chat, I'm going to put self-doubt. So self-doubt is the most sneaky of all patterns because we have been convinced that we are nothing more than this human form. We have been convinced, tricked, lied to, pick your word. We have been told that we are the very limitations that we experience or we are our environment. So sometimes when you choose the path of liberation and choosing yourself, what you don't actually know when you first get into this journey or even later is that as you're going through this journey, all of your demons, all of your egos, all of your dark places in the psyche, they're just trying to convince you that you're not as powerful as you really are. So if we could simplify this process, self-doubt is just a process in which pessimism has come into the door, and we have told ourselves that pessimism or not believing in ourselves is normal because we see it all around us, especially, now let me say this clearly, especially when we are not seeing what we desire to see outside of us. Like if you didn't have a role model executing financial abundance and you don't have role models that are playing in millions of dollars, then yeah, you're going to feel like that is a very far-fetched dream that you cannot achieve, when really the self-doubt or the pessimism is just like this little nuance or this little sneaky guy that comes through the door because you don't have evidence yet that inside of this environment, this is actually normal. So when you don't have, I want to say this differently. When you don't have the role model for what you desire, the opposite of desire can show up as self-doubt, because self-doubt, doubting the dream, is going to feel at first more normal than choosing this astronomical desire that your physical eyes hasn't had evidence of yet. So our eyes are a really big part of this process. Have you realized that? Like, yes, we're talking about staying true to yourself and how to stay true to yourself no matter what. But I don't think that our eyes get enough conversation as they need to. Like a lot of people want to talk about embodiment in the heart and the mind, and I'm absolutely a coach of that as well. And have you noticed that our eyes are constantly scanning for either what is wrong or what is right? So, for example, if you go into your kitchen right now, are you going to pick up on the little detail that the counters aren't as clean as you want to and there's a speck on the counter? Or are your eyes going to look at the mass picture of your kitchen and be like, oh my gosh, look at all the evidence I have of how much space and freedom I already have? So our eyes are very interesting. And I love this analogy because when you close your eyes, some of us have different gifts, different clairvoyancies, different ways we connect to intuition, and that's perfect. And when your physical eyes are open, if you haven't decided to set an intention on what you choose to see, it's almost like your eyes will take in things, and then your eyes, based off the visual, it will be taken in, and then your brain from that point will create a story. So I know a lot of people want to work on their consciousness, and that's beautiful because what you're really doing in that moment is, what do I see? What have I seen? What have I decided based on what I've seen? For example, I'll be really vulnerable and tell you how this operates in my human design chart and how I'm designed and wired and created. So I'm very empathic by nature. I can feel emotions. I can feel what people are feeling most times before they even know what they are feeling. And so if I am not careful or aware of that, I can literally get in the car and be cruising down the street and having a great day. And if I see a dog that is hurt or like almost ran over, immediately the sensation of my body is like, oh my gosh, why is our world so cruel? Why would someone hit a dog? Why would someone not take care of them? Oh my gosh, he's so hungry. So then naturally, I'm picking up the energy of a scene, feeling it as though I'm the damn dog that just got hit. And then I'm operating from a state of, oh my gosh, this is so heavy. And then I just want to cry. Now, I can sit there and do belief work, or I can know myself. And by knowing myself, I can stay loyal to myself. So, a large part of this that we haven't gotten into yet is to understand, the more aware you are of yourself and who you are, is where you will recognize that self-doubt is not your natural state. It is a learned state. And earlier I told you that our emotions, the way that we choose to see the world, our emotional state is going to create the slate. So the best advice I could give you based on that analogy is that the days I train my eyes, or at least set the intention, don't overthink this, but the days that I set an intention for what my physical eyes, for what I want them to see, it happens because now I am programming my RAS system. So the reticulating activating system is a very small part of the brain but it is responsible for like our whole reality. So size in this moment does not matter, literally. Because if we are looking at something and we say, okay, I want my physical eyes today to pick up all of the places that love is naturally coming my way so that I can see that. What starts to happen is I'm living my best life and I'm coaching someone and they pay me extra and I didn't ask. Or when I go to a grocery store and they're smiling and they're just genuine and wanting to carry my groceries outside. Or when I'm aware that I'm just in nature and it's peaceful and quiet and just hear the little birds making love. Like that awareness wouldn't have been caught if I didn't train myself to look for the evidence of what I'm creating, not look for the evidence of what I'm fixing. So a lot of times people don't want to stay true to themselves, not because they hate themselves, but because they think there is something wrong with them. And so they leave themselves and they're acting like hunters and gatherers. And I used to do this all the time too. So there's no shame around it. But when there was something wrong with me, then I would leave myself to go find the answer to then fix myself so that I could have the very thing that I was calling in. And then I started to think, okay, that didn't work. I'll do it again. So what do I mean by that? Well, if I think something's wrong with me and I'm constantly in the state of healing or fixing, I'm going to go buy a $10,000 program. I actually did this last year and it was beautiful. I wouldn't have changed a thing. But I went and spent $10,000 on a process that was going to help educate me on how to, basically build my business to millions. And I learned a lot in that course. And I also learned at the end of the day, consciousness creates reality. And so I didn't know what I didn't know. But at the end of that course, the biggest awareness I had was just how much I thought I needed to fix myself before I was allowed to have what I wanted. And so I can feel the emotion of that because I can tell you most people operate there. So if I took that course to be the channel or voice to tell you that you're not broken, and that used to be my message. It's a little bit, it's changing over the years as I keep developing my business. You're not broken. Yes, let's start there, but it's more powerful than that. We don't need to fix ourselves in order to have what we want. And I think that is the craziest awareness to write down because I'm going to write it down and I'll tell you why. We do not. Okay, I just want you to really write this down. So put it in first tense. I do not need to fix myself in order, in order to have what it is I want or what I'm asking for. Now, why is that so important? Why the hell does that matter? I'll tell you why. Because if you have to fix yourself in order to have the thing or the desire or the outcome, do you really think in that state of awareness or in that state of framework that you're ever going to get to a place where you're not fixing yourself anymore? Because here's the thing. If you identify with only being human and you identify with your limitations only, don't you think the mind is going to find more evidence on where you need to keep improving? So the reason I dislike this framework and the reason I 100% want to shatter it from every single person's mind that I meet is because there will never be a finish line or a carrot or an effing $1,000,000, to be quite frank with you, if you are in a paradigm of I need to fix myself in order to have what it is that I want. Because underneath that belief, what is the root under that belief? There's like 5. It's I'm not enough. I'm not enough. That's one of them. What else? I'm not worthy. That's another one. What else? I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. Okay. Like we can go on and on and on. I'm not capable. Yeah. I'm insignificant. Yes. Perfect. I'm insignificant. We could go on. They're different words for the same root. But at the root, at the very cause, if you constantly need to fix yourself, then do you ever think that you get to a point where you actually get to create? So I learned in a different time of my life. I've lived a lot of life, guys. I might be 30, but I have lived lifetimes. Believe me that. So I learned in a different setting, in a different time, from a different certification that there's only two ways to orientate to life. Just two. Just two. And I love it because it's so simple. If you wake up in the morning and you are creating a life around fixing, then automatically your RAS, your RAS, the part of your brain that looks for evidence more of what it sees, that part of your brain is like, oh, she likes to fix herself. She likes to fix herself. Let this sink in, guys. Feel the vibration of this. Because self-help has taught us, and it's a billion dollar industry, and we're not going to blame them because we really love growth. But hear me clearly, growth and fixing ourselves don't go hand in hand. We think if we fix ourselves, we grow. And I'm telling you, that is not the case. We grow by facing our fears, but we don't fix our fears. We don't even need to do anything about our fears. We just face them and choose to do it anyways. But most people have been taught the way to get fear to go away so that we don't have to just do the damn thing and to actually just be worthy and whole now is we're taught that we need to fix. So if you wake up every day and you love to fix, I would just invite you to be mindful that fixing is not the same vibration as having. And if you need to fix and you're constantly fixated, the brain will say, hey, you need to fix this. You're a little bit chunky and fat. Hey, I need you to fix this. You're a little bit insecure with your hair color today. Hey, I need you to fix this. I see that you had a conversation and you didn't speak your truth. So we're constantly, this actually feeds into, if you look at the way I've laid this out in the show notes, especially on YouTube, you'll notice that self-doubt, that's why I say self-doubt is actually a learned behavior. You don't actually doubt yourself. You have been taught to doubt yourself because if you doubt yourself, then you will fix yourself. If you fix yourself, you will buy into the consumption and the scripts of what the world has convinced you to buy into. But if you just skip all of that bullshit and you become like Neo, like freaking in the Matrix, or you become the one and only superhero of your own damn dream, here's what you realize. So if I don't doubt myself and I don't fix myself, what am I? I'm whole now and I'm courageous now. Those two things, courage and wholeness, go together. But we think that we need to doubt ourselves in order to find courage, and we think we need to fix ourselves in order to have wholeness. And I'm telling you, that if you want the shortest path, the quickest path to transformation, it is to delete right now. Like I literally love fixing things in the moment, fixing things. If we're going to fix anything, let's fix this damn problem right here. This is the only fixing that needs fixed. The only thing that needs fixed is to eliminate the idea that you need to fix yourself. We're done. We're done. Delete, delete, delete. In fact, I'm going to do it for us right here, right now. If you're down, are you down? Okay, cool. Close your eyes. Okay, I'm going to invite you to go to the center of your heart. And I want you to see a beautiful rose. And I want you to see the flower in the rose. I want you to see it open up. Close your mind, visualize it. Get your mind to go there, like really go there. I want you to see a rose and I want it to open up delightfully. And I want you to place your very attention, your very awareness inside of the rose in the center of the bud. And I want you to surrender. I want you to literally surrender to the red, to the silky velvet, to the rose petals. Just literally embody all of your awareness right there, right now. And I want you to know, as I'm telling you this very vibration of what we're going to embody, as you sit inside the center of the rose, it is decided now that we no longer need to climb through the rose bushes in order to smell the roses. We no longer need to climb through the rose bush thorns in order to be in the rose. You don't actually have to go through the pain in order to have the pleasure. You don't actually have to buy into the thorns. You don't actually have to cut yourself on the way, and you don't need to fix your scrapes, and you don't need to actually patch them up. The only thing that you need to do is stop walking through the damn thorn bush. So you can fix the cut, you can fix the bruise, you can fix the wound, or you can freaking stop going through the damn thorns and self-punishing yourself in order to believe that struggle is a part of the process or suffering is a part of the process. The reason that you don't stay loyal to who you are or stay true to yourself is because somewhere along the road, someone came up to you on your beautiful journey unintentionally or intentionally. We hope not, but it could happen. And they said to you unconsciously, or maybe even subtly, they said, hey, I just want you to know you're totally not enough, but keep going. You're doing great. Hey, I just want you to know you're not doing good enough, You're not enough, but you're doing great. Keep going. Those messages are not yours to identify with. So I tell this to every one of my clients. There is a difference between choosing empowering thoughts and unwinding beliefs. Yes. And then as you evolve, you will get to this really beautiful place where you actually have the awareness that we don't correct broken beliefs. Why? Because we just let them go. Do you hear what I'm saying? That's what I mean by I don't need to fix myself. I can have a thought pass through my brain that says you're a loser, and that thought can pass by. And guess what? I am not going to sit there and journal on all of the reasons why I'm not a loser because I am aware now that I don't even give my time or energy to broken beliefs or thoughts that aren't mine. I never asked to agree with them. I never asked for them. So why am I going to do my due diligence to fix something that was never meant to be fixed in the first place? Right? Like, I just want you to move all that bullshit to the side. In my book of epiphanies, I say, if you're having any suicidal thoughts, suicide is just moving your sewage to the side. Move your sewage to the side. The thoughts that are not yours, you don't actually need to correct. In fact, you just need to let that shit go. So if we're going to stay true to ourselves, number one, my truth is not up for discussion. I actually want you to say this with me or say it on your screen, your way, but we're going to actually say this out loud because it's perfect. So number one, my truth is not up for discussion. I don't need to explain to you. Say, I don't need to explain to you because I found validation within myself. My truth is not up for discussion. I find validation in myself. If I don't know what my truth is, that's okay. I choose to do step number 2 and 3 at the same time. I am going to be loyal to whatever my truth is. And then we have to look at what the hell my truth is. What is my truth? Well, the truth is right now that I'm dissatisfied with life and here's why and I want more. Cool, start there. Like, dude, this game should be so fun. It should be so playful. And the passion in my belly just wants to burn away all of the shit and behavior that taught us that we had to get really serious and really like anal about how we operate in life. We don't. So number 3, I put loyalty, but I want to go into the full expansion of what I said. We are loyal to our faith. We are loyal to our imagination. We are loyal to our desires. We are literally loyal to all of the things that our eyes will never see out here. I mean, they will get seen because we're going to hold our loyalty to what is internal. But the loyalty is always to the internal first. We start inside before we play outside. I'm actually going to write that in the chat because if you wrote this down, then it would actually sum up all of class in a very beautiful way. But the very easiest way to stay true to ourselves is to have loyal. We play the game. We play the game. It is a game, guys. We play the game from the inside out, not the outside in. So I want you to think about kids. Like, are they doing all of their chores before they play, or do they just wake up and they rip their diaper off and they're dancing in the living room because they have so much joy pulsing through their body that they don't need to earn it. They've already sourced it. They source their joy naturally. So I'm going to invite you to write this mantra, take it. You will find what needs to be said for you in this discussion. But one of the best mantras that I have right now is I take responsibility for my joy. Why is that huge? Because, dude, literally, if you're an entrepreneur like me, or you're kicking ass as a mom, or you're just taking care of a lot of people, like whatever you do is so important. Okay. You are important and have value no matter what you're doing right now. But you know, it's even more exciting is when you decide that you don't just take responsibility for doing the dishes and doing the laundry and making sure the kids go to school and like having everything organized. That's one part of responsibility, is being able to respond into adulting. But I don't think a lot of us take responsibility for our joy. And the thing that F's us up the most, I think one of the worst cases of psychosis or dissatisfaction or unfulfillment is this idea around waiting or postponing or future living. I think that is probably the deadliest, and I'm going to actually write that out for you. That is one of the deadliest beliefs to hold. Why would I say that? Because if you're constantly waiting for joy, if you're waiting for the paycheck before you're allowed to feel secure, if you're waiting for better friends before you feel connection, if you're waiting for the dream house before you feel beauty, if you're waiting for your external world, again, if you're playing the game from the inside out, this is how shitty it is. I'm waiting for this thing so that I can feel this thing. I'm waiting for this to happen so that I can have this. I'm waiting for this so that I can have that. And it's just complete psychosis, because then you will abandon yourself in order to have an external gain when it was yours the entire time. It was yours the entire time. You just didn't know you could source it. And so your hunger got the best of you. And you're like, I'm so desperately hungry to experience this. I will do whatever it takes. And so I'm trying to help you understand that if you are that hungry for the experience, you need to create the experience internally. And that's where most people get pissed or they stop. Because the minute I look at you and I say, you're not allowed to fix yourself, you don't need to fix yourself, and you don't actually have to play the game of self-doubt, right? My truth is not up for discussion. I will discover my truth. I will be loyal to the things that are unseen within me. I will keep my loyalty to what I've already decided, okay? So if I've already decided I'm going to be a millionaire, if I've already decided that I'm going to have everything I've ever wanted in life, if I've already decided I'm going to have the best health of my life and have the most kick-ass body, I need to be loyal to that no matter what the mirror shows me. I need to be loyal to that no matter what my bank account shows me. I need to be loyal to that more than any single person outside of me. And the way to do that is not to explain myself to them, but to secretly, or again, secretly is not the word, embody the damn vision, okay? But then when we drop into, I do not need to fix myself in order to have what it is I want, and I don't need to buy into the I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not perfect, I'm insignificant. When we drop all of that shit and we're not actually fixing ourselves, what are we doing? We're playing the game from the inside out. So what does that mean? Like, Brie, I get you. I hear you. What does that mean? I can hear your thoughts. What does that mean? Well, it means you wake up and you're not creating a world where you need things to fix, and then your brain looking for more things to fix. And then you're on this completely different path of fixing versus just having, like, and what separates the people, what separates the masses is what I just said. You've got these people over here that are fixing. And then they're like, I will be worthy one day. I know it. And then I will never have to feel fear. I know it. And that's not true, right? They've bought into the illusion. I know I have, like, literally I have. So, and I think this is a part of like just becoming epic, is just realizing like you're not obligated to be who you were 5 seconds ago. And so you can shame yourself and spiral, or you can pick yourself up and be a courageous warrior. And what's really beautiful is that when you drop down into one of the last notes I put here is that when you play the game from the inside out and you're like, hey, I don't actually need to fix myself. I just need to embody the emotional state that I want this thing to give me. So if I want this thing to give me peace, I am going to play the game from the inside out. I'm not going to fix me. I'm not going to actually go after all of these 20 things that are going to bring me the sensation. I'm going to create the sensation of peace. So I'm going to, whether that's meditating or going for a walk. Another thing I'll say here too is that when you choose to exercise your muscles into the vibration of what it is that you do want, and you're more coherent with yourself and you're loyal to what it is that you want, you're not actually after anything hard or earning, because you're like, okay, what does peace feel like? Well, that's when you close your eyes and you go and ask yourself, what the hell does peace feel like? Oh, I know what that feels like. Okay, now here's the fun part. How long can I hold that? Because this is not an efforting game. Most people are taught that life is an effort game, and it's not. Life is not an effort game. Life is a mental exercise, but I'm going to say it differently. One of my favorite quotes ever by Neville Goddard is, he says that my imagination is my supply. So most people want to use their physical bodies and they want to like physically effort to get the thing. And then there's those of us that use our imagination to know what it is that we're calling forward into our experience. We are the state, and the external world comes to us because we're the ones bending reality. We're not the ones struggling to earn our reality. That's the difference. So if you want to have a perfect life where you no longer abandon yourself and you want to stay loyal and true to you, then we drop down into the next thing, which is I take responsibility for my joy. And I want you to actually look at where you've been really responsible and not giving yourself credit. How many times do you work out when you don't want to? How many times do you choose to drink water when you'd rather have a soda? How many times do you wake up out of bed even when you don't want to? You actually have a lot of kickassery naturally. But because you haven't wired your brain to look for joy and you have wired your brain to look for problems, your survival mechanisms are telling you how to stay alive, but they're not actually telling you how to thrive. And so I think a lot of us staying true to ourselves isn't like, it doesn't need to be heavy. I mean, there's abandonment, there's betrayal, there's trauma, there's a lot of things that we have to unwind and unbind. But I'm looking at this from a perspective of how do I stay so committed to me in my joy more than I stay committed to me in my fixing path that is so heavily pushed, especially in the Western world. How do I take full responsibility for my joy and then commit so fully to what that is? See, a lot of people want to talk about alignment, but I love the simplicity of thinking about a line. A line can go a billion ways. There can be a line between me and you. There could be a line, from center of heart to left, a line from center of heart to going right. Like lines are just that. They're just lines. And each line has a destination. And so when people are like, oh, you need to align, align to what exactly? Because if you were handed a script and I told you how to live your life and how I live my life, and this is the only way to live, you would be in alignment with the script I gave you if you follow it. But that might not be aligned with what. And this is where step 3 is so important. Alignment to your joy is going to be loyalty to what it is that you desire. So the hardest part of all of this for a lot of people in the beginning of their journey is simply, what do I desire? And that can be hard when you're so used to like operating in survival and you're like, well, I know what this person needs. I know what they expect of me. I know what my boss wants from me. I know what my kids need from me, but what the hell do I want? And that's where joy gets to be your only responsibility. Because when you say yes and you mean no, that is a depletion of your energy. When you say yes and you mean yes, that is a alignment, because what you wanted and what you did, they were in the same harmony or the same vibration. So the way I see this is responsibility for our joy is just deciding that we are the source of it. Okay, so like I said, you don't have to climb through the rose bushes and get scraped by all the thorns. You don't have to bleed out by all the thorns before you get to the actual joy and the sensation of a beautiful rosebud, right? I always get asked, like, why is the leopard and the rose a part of your branding? Like, what made you want to choose those colors? And you're always in red, right? But again, it's because I got so clear on what my soul was here to articulate, what it is that I had to walk through in order to be able to talk to, right? Like I walk through it so I can speak to it, so that I can live it and then embody it. So last but not least is that we no longer buy into the idea or the belief of waiting, postponing, or future living. So when you don't believe that you're worthy, that's where you astro project and you're like, well, maybe someday. Yeah, well, why not right now? Because a lot of us have been trained to believe that it's going to take a long time or it's going to be forever. There is so much verbiage in our world that talks about waiting and postponing, but it's so subtle that unless you're aware of it, you're like, well, duh, of course I have to wait. Why? Like a perfect example of this is when I realized that my age was holding me back. I was like, holy shit, no wonder I haven't hit the accomplishments that I've wanted to, because somewhere in my psyche, I just decided that waiting and postponing in future living was when the success would happen. Like, who taught me I needed to wait a long time? Because when I was listening to these gurus on how to self-help, I'm like, wow, they're all like 40 and 50 and like they're all have 3 kids and they've all there was just this point in which they hit breakthrough. And so I guess I took that on and I was like, I guess I'll have my breakthrough around 40. And I'm like, no, because I've already broke through like a lot of patterns by the age of 25. And I was like, So when you are looking at your reality, sometimes staying true to ourselves is as simple as saying, my story, my literal process is not going to look like your process. The minute we can drop the comparison and go into coherence, that is when we will hit freedom. So I'm going to say that again. We drop comparison, right? I don't need to wait until I'm 40 just because freaking this man did. I don't need to wait until I'm 50 just because she did. So I'm not going to compare me to anyone else's story anymore because it doesn't make sense. It literally does not make sense. So we're going to drop comparison, And we are going to stand in coherence. Coherence. Do you guys know what coherence is? So when you're not comparing your life to someone else and you're in pure coherence, it's the ability to know that what your heart wants can happen right now. And it's the ability to believe in it as if it's happening right now and to let it show up in divine trust that it's already on its way. Because you will leave waiting and postponing when you believe it's already on its way. And then you can drop comparison, you can drop the timelines. We can shift into a higher timeline simply by knowing what it is that we want and being in coherence with it. So the summary of this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lesson would just be that. Know what it is you want and get into full coherence of that thing. Knowing it's already on its way. That is how I would tell someone like you watching today that you literally are. I'm looking over my notes really brief to see if I wanted to cover anything else. Oh yeah, I did write a one-liner. I wrote down that staying true to yourself is not resistance, it's resonance, which is what I'm saying here. So you really do have to know that staying true to yourself, no matter what, is not about resistance. Do not buy into the no pain, no gain. Do not buy into some bullshit behavior that says you need to fix yourself. Like what I'm actually doing on this call is actually helping you unplug from like 20 ideas that have been sucking your soul dry and have left you in expectation, frustration, bitterness, resentment, and resistance. And when you can come into the truth that resistance is not a part of the formula, and joy is how you scale, then you win. Because joy is what we want to scale. Joy is what we want to find evidence of. If we're fixing, we're going to find more of that. So I think that your ability to know what it is that you want and then to get in coherence with that thing, knowing it's already on its way, means that you have already married the feeling before it showed up. So again, when I say marry the feeling, I don't mean like hope and pray it's coming, because again, bottom line, you are the source of what it is that you're asking for. And if you're sick and tired of playing the illusion that someone else has something for you that hasn't happened yet, that is your soul saying, watch this video again. Watch this video again. You are the source and you never had to earn it, but you have to be willing to be the source. And that's where most people will I'm talking like quantum leap. If you want a quantum leap, you don't just hear me tell you that you are the source, you know that you are. So when I know that I'm the source of my own joy, do you think I twerk in the morning? I do. Like, hell yeah, I do. Like, as in I was like 15 in a club partying to some like ratchet music. I love it. My sacral loves it. But again, when I'm in comparison, I'm like, well, all the other millionaires, I know they're all serious and taking life like really damn serious. I'm like, yeah, sure, that's their way. But again, because I'm not in comparison and I'm in coherence, I know that I don't just want millions and then to feel like I'm in this heavy vibration all the time. No, I want to be in joy. And I want my joy to be a reflection of my value. And I want my value to be a reflection of my bank account. And I want all of that abundance to be the reflection of the love I have for myself. And I want that to be the reflection of the source and the decision I made, that I now take responsibility for sourcing the emotion or the experience inside first so that I can experience it in this physical body, this vehicle. And when you drop all the complexity, you're like, cool, I no longer need to fix myself. So what do I choose today? What would I love? I'm going to leave you with this if you love to journal. The question is, what would I love? Because when you're in survival, your brain is not wired to ask the question, what would I love? Your brain is asking the question, how can I survive and what is needed of me? So instead, we're going to ask, what would I love? And how can I be a match for that today? How can I be a match for that today? It's like jumping on Tinder, dude. It's like, if you want to be a match, you want the universe to swipe left, you need to be in the vibration of what it is that you're asking for. Staying true to you is really just the decision that nothing is wrong with you. So I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, guys, I love you so damn much. I hope this has been so helpful for you guys. And again, listen to it if you need to a couple of times and take away the truth bomb that serves you the most. And then put in the chat what it is that you learned. Put in the chat what it is that you took away from this, what it is that was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea I was even doing that, right? I'm going to invite you into Universal Love Academy. It is a full year where we learn so much about human design, gene keys. We understand who we are. We learn to have divine trust within ourselves. We learn to operate from a place of wholeness. We know how to source what it is that we want. We're having like kick-assery time in there. So I'm going to invite you to that community. Check the link below. And then the Book of Epiphanies will also be there as well so that you can get started on your next breakthrough. So until then, guys, I love you so much. Bye. Bye for now.